What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this was actually requested, and I was debating on doing it already, but I figured why the hell not. Let's talk about 10 fragrances that I would recommend you maybe check out to ring in the new year. We're about to transition right on in to 2024. The recording of this is December 28th. It's just a few days away. Now, obviously, there's no guarantees that you're going to have all of my recommendations, and by no means am I saying you should run out and buy them just in time. Just some suggestions for maybe if you're wondering, what am I going to wear for the festivities? Maybe for New Year's Eve, maybe you're going out to some sort of party, or New Year's Day, you have something special going on, a get-together of sorts, and you really want to show out, stand out, and put your best foot forward with what you're going to be wearing and what you're going to be smelling like. So I've gathered 10 fragrances that I think will be just right for the occasion. So let's discuss them, shall we? Stay tuned. Starting with the newest release from Tumi, this is called 19 Degree, and 19 Degree has this odd, fresh, smoky birch water accord. A little bit of an Invictus tie-in. I understand where people are coming from with that. It has this black raspberry note that gives this tart, not sweet fruitiness. It's strange with a fresh water accord and some smokiness. There's leather facet to it. It's a little earthy. It's quite masculine. Quite lovely too. I think this is one of the better releases of the year. I think this is the best fragrance from the house personally. Performance is really good without being overwhelming. It lasts pretty long, but it's not too in your face. But it's dark yet fresh. It's heavy yet light. Like, it's kind of a contradictory fragrance with kind of the tango that the aromas do back and forth, where maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So it's a very interesting fragrance in my opinion. Quality here is actually pretty good also. So definitely one worth checking out if you haven't yet. Kind of had a few moments of hype, but I think it needs to continue because this is a good fragrance. This is Tumi 19 Degree. One that I've just recently been wearing, I just finished doing a full review on. This is Lattafa's CRA Kawa, their coffee fragrance. This is so good. I do think it's indeed superior to Lattafa's Khamrah because you still have that beautiful, sweet, heavily sweet core DNA of the original, but here it's a much spicier fragrance. Performance is really, really good on this, especially longevity is outrageous. And the nice, this medium roast Arabica coffee note that gives it this added depth and character that was omitted from the original. The original is a phenomenal fragrance, but I do think this flanker is superior. Now, that's a personal choice, obviously. This is one of Lattafa's best releases of the year, in my opinion. You can get it for pretty cheap. You're probably going to have to blind buy this one, so at your own risk if you're going to go that route, but it is a good fragrance. You're going to see a lot of hype for this one. There's already a lot of hype for this one, and look, if you have the original, no, you don't need this one. Just wear the original, but know that you tone the sweetness back just a bit, you ramp up the spices, especially that cinnamon note, and you add some coffee, and you get this beautiful powerhouse of a fragrance with Lattafa's CRA Kawa. Basically spicy apple, a little bit of an ambroxan smell and an earthiness from a tobacco note. It is Valentino, born in Roma, Coral Fantasy. So this gets a lot of love in the online community, and it's well deserved. This stuff smells amazing. I mean, amazing. God, this is good. In fact, we're going to give this a little spritz on the hand and kind of sniff this in between grabbing fragrances throughout this video because, yeah, it's that good. I haven't worn it in a little while. I haven't sprayed in a little while, but we're talking about it. We're going to sniff it together. Well, at least I'm going to sniff it. So good. Like I said, a spicy red apple smell with a little bit of an ambroxan feel, almost like a somewhat Sauvage tie-in. Not quite Sauvage, though. Some of you that don't like Sauvage don't get detoured. It's like red apple, spices, ambroxan, a little bit of tobacco amber. For the most part, it's kind of how I interpret what I smell here. Performance is really good. This will pull people in. Very mass-pleasing, crowd pleaser. Very attractive to those around you. Not the most natural smell, but a damn good fragrance that just works for every occasion. And if you just looking for that easygoing fragrance that at the same time doesn't smell exactly like a bunch of other things, there's elements that'll remind you of other things, but it's its own fragrance at the same time. This might be a great option to ring in the new year. Again, that's Valentino's Born in Roma, Coral Fantasy. One of the best new original releases from a luxury brand this year. This is Maison Silent Night. So this has a beautiful, juicy plum with some spices, a little bit of a white floral tone, a nice dense woody accord. And that's the main things you're going to smell is the 4 things I listed. At least that's what I smell. Quality is great. It's very well balanced. Nothing really dominates or takes the lead in this fragrance. You kind of get a little bit of all of it with a slight balance shift throughout the life of the fragrance with phenomenal performance as far as longevity. Not overwhelming projection, but intoxicating thick sillage that'll linger around you pretty much the entire day that you're wearing this fragrance. This is such a good fragrance. They've released 2 fragrances of the recording of this, and this blows Sovereign out of the water. That was a great release. That was a great first offering from the brand. This trumped it in every single way. It performs about the same, but they changed their caps, they improved their atomizers, and they made this beautiful, easy to like, yet pretty unique fragrance that's an authentic kind of photorealistic plum. It's not that synthetic, artificial, super sweet plum. Like there's a tartness to it. It's a little, has that lip smacking type of smell to it, if you will. You know what I'm talking about if you bit into a plum. Don't think the plum note that you'll find in designer fragrances. This is a more photorealistic, true-to-life type of plum note. Like I said, with spice, white floral, and a pretty strong cedar wood note. It really balances this thing out. Just a beautiful offering. Definitely a great way to ring in the new year. Would be a fragrance like Maison Daba Silent Night. Let's go with something a little bit more classic and, you know, traditional masculine in many ways. Fresh greens, a little earthy, very woodsy, with a hint of smoke. Chopard's Cedar Malaki, one of their newest releases, one of my favorite releases. If I would have had this before I made my 10 best designer releases of the year, this would have been in there because I really like this fragrance. This was a great recommendation from a longtime subscriber, Joel's Matrix. Shout out to you if you see this, Joel. Great recommendation because I love this fragrance. I think it's a really good offering. So good. If you like greens like cypress, fir balsam, and you like woody dominant notes, incense, guaiac wood, things like that, Virginia cedar, for example, a little bit of an aromatic smell to it. This is great stuff. Not overwhelming, pretty present and pronounced, with pretty good longevity. Not beastly all day type of stuff, but 8 to 10 hour kind of longevity is what I've been experiencing. Beautiful fragrance. Kind of almost like if you take the tobacco note out of Polo Green and kind of modernize the profile just a bit. That's what you're left with here. It's not just a clever play on the color scheme of green and gold. It does have elements of the original Polo by Ralph Lauren without smelling dated, because I know a lot of people think that's an old man fragrance, which hurts my heart every time I hear that because I love that fragrance, but I love this fragrance too. Definitely a great option to ring in the new year, in my opinion, of course, would be Chopard's Cedar Malaki. Now you can never go wrong with a highly complemented DNA. It performs really good, smells really appealing, modern sweet scent kind of stuff. Here we're talking about Azzaro's Most Wanted. Toffee, amber, spice. I believe it's cardamom is the spice. This is so good. This is still my favorite of the 2 Most Wanteds, but the 2 Most Wanteds are the best in the line, in my opinion. Most Wanted and Most Wanted Parfum. You're good with either one. I just prefer the intensified toffee versus what you get in the Parfum. This is really, really good stuff. It smells so good. Such a great performer, too. Cardamom and toffee with amber is what you're going to get listed, if I remember correctly, with the note breakdown. Doesn't smell like too much more beyond that's going on here, honestly. A little bit of a woody nuance that they don't list. Outside of that, it's pretty straightforward. It smells good. It's sweet. It's a little spicy. It gets the job done. It's alluring. It'll pull people in. My wife's a huge fan of this one. You going out to one of those New Year's Eve parties? This might be a great fragrance for you. You're going to not necessarily stand out greatly, but everybody's going to be able to smell you, and they're probably going to think you smell really good. Again, that's Azzaro, the Most Wanted. Now, you might stand out a little bit more here. If you like vanilla, but you want more of a dark and earthy vanilla, you might want to check Paco Rabanne's Invictus Victory Elixir, one of their newest releases. This is good stuff. So there's an earthy patchouli note that really stands out to go with this incense-heavy, ambery vanilla smell. Performance is phenomenal. People are going to smell you. If you're concerned with that, people are going to smell you. You are going to smell you. All night, all day long, depending on if it's New Year's Day. This is such a good release. I love the patchouli dominance here. You wouldn't think it would stand out as a main accord and main note, but it sure does, and it's earthy. It's not super creamy, because I think a creamy patchouli note would have been counterproductive for what they were trying to achieve with this scent profile, because it would have blended into the vanilla too much. Whereas having more of an earthy, leafy, green patchouli smell really works and counterbalances and works better with that incense note, I find. Performance is great. Doesn't really smell like Invictus at all, so if you don't like Invictus, no worries here, but I think it'd be a great way to start the new year. It's Paco Rabanne's Invictus Victory Elixir. So if you want to look towards a little bit more niche options and still want to stand out, this was my favorite niche release of 2023. I think Faces of Francis from Vilhelm Parfumerie would be a great fragrance to take a look at. This is going to be a conversation piece because it's loaded with fresh fizzy aldehydes, very effervescent and bright, but extremely warm and spicy and metallic at the same time as it opens because of the saffron. Saffron and aldehydes. The top note on the pyramid is exactly what you're going to smell. As it transitions and dries, you get a little bit more of a woodsy tone, a creaminess from this grilled pistachio note that they used here. There's oud listed, but I don't get any type of typical oud smell. A little bit of dry woods, earthy green tone. There's cypriol oil, for example, but that saffron stays for a long time. It offers that metallic feel once that spice starts to tone down, but this is a saffron-based fragrance that nuances and does a few different things, honestly. It's a very oddball, strange, out of the norm, outside the box thinking scent profile, and that's why I love it so much. Great quality, great performance, very unique, but also highly wearable and super versatile. I think this was such a great release for them, and one of the best things to come out in 2023, in my opinion. You'll definitely stand out with something like Faces of Francis from Vilhelm Parfumerie. Easily one of my favorite pickups of the year, especially one of my favorite Mancera pickups, because I picked up a lot of Manceras this year. This is Silver Blue, horribly named, wrong color bottle and label color scheme, because it smells nothing like the name and the bottle would indicate. Because this is a thick, rich caramel, spicy wood fragrance. It smells amazing. This is a phenomenal fragrance. I love this stuff. It's not a blue fragrance, not even a little bit. I don't know what Pierre Montal's marketing department was thinking here. He created a beautiful fragrance. Just named wrong. Color scheme's wrong. It's just wrong. But it's so right at the same time because it smells so damn good. So you get a little bit of this oud funkiness, slightly hefty dose of spice, dry and woodsy, countered by a thick syrupy caramel smell. I love the way this is done. Any of you that are familiar with maybe Nichané's Papilefico, if you were to take away some of that caramel sweetness and just let the woody nuance and the aromatics and the spices take over, it's kind of a similar profile in that way, but not exactly one-to-one, but they definitely remind me of one another, though they have their differences. So if you're familiar with that and you like that, you might like this, as long as you're cool with a hefty dose of caramel. Beautiful. I'm not the typical gourmand guy, and I wouldn't call this through and through a gourmand fragrance, but there's a strong gourmand element because there's just so much caramel here. I do like a good caramel note in a fragrance, and this is a great caramel note. It's going to smell delicious and quite masculine at the same time because it's a lot of woods and spices with Silver Blue from Mancera. And last but not least, I have to let you guys know because it's literally about to be sold out forever. The stock is dangerously low. So if you wanted to ring in the new year with Evening Mystique, my most recent collaboration with Zaharoff, it's pretty much your last chance unless you want to try to get it off of resellers later or whatever have you. But the thing about this beauty is it nuances so well. If you want development in a fragrance, high-end luxury quality, you want to look for fragrances like this. Obviously, there's a bias here because it has my name on it. It came from here through Claude Deer's talents. He created this for me in collaboration with Zaharoff, and it's got this beautiful aromatic green spice. So you get coriander, you get this carrot seed note with a lot of cypress and juniper in the top. That's your aromatic brightness, is that juniper. And then it quickly transitions into an incense, resin-heavy iris fragrance. So iris actually isn't the star of the show. It's core from the DNA from its original. This is flankered from Business Over Pleasure, my first creation in collaboration with Zaharoff. So the iris is still there. It is soft and powdery, a little creamy, but you're going to get a lot of frankincense and olibanum here, so you get more of a resinous, sticky incense feel, not just the light and airy incense side. You get more of that heavy resinous feel to incense as well. Amber, patchouli, vetiver, nice dense woodsy vetiver. It's not really all that earthy, it's more of a creamy patchouli. Beautiful fragrance, transitions, changes greatly. Has an elegance, professionalism, but also a mysterious side to it. Hence the name being Evening Mystique, but you can totally wear this one during the day, especially in these cooler months. So, in my opinion, of course, with the appropriate level of bias, obviously, like I said, because it is my creation, if you want to ring in the new year right, at least in my opinion, you're going to want to go ahead and grab your bottle of Evening Mystique while you still can. There's a link below, link in all my videos, because it's about to be gone forever, literally. Well, that's the 10. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. And I love hearing from you guys. Of these 10, what do you have? What have you tried? Or maybe what piqued your interest? I'll try to have links to everything down below if you want to check out any of these. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of these 10 and you give them a spray now, 2 things. 1, you might thank me later, but you also might ring in the new year the right way, smelling great. Have a good one, guys.